In this video, we're going to import the vectors and create the toolpath to cut the part you can see on the screen here. This is a short version of this tutorial where we're going to work through very quickly to show you just how easy this process is. There is a much longer version of the tutorial where we go into a detailed explanation of each stage if you'd like to watch that and follow along. Let's start by opening a new copy of the software, and we're going to come down and click on the icon to open an existing file. I'm going to select a vector file which has been designed in another program, bullshead.dxf, and hit open. Software will automatically set the job size to be the size of the vectors, so I'm just going to increase that to 12 in X and 5 in Y, Z0 on the top of the block, half-inch material. I'm going to uncheck the option for this offset so that XY0 becomes the lower left corner, and then we can go ahead and hit OK. Next, I want to select all the vectors, so I'm going to go up to Edit, Select All Vectors, click on the icon here to align these objects, and click on the middle one at the top here to align them in the center of our work area. Now, with those vectors selected, it's as easy as clicking on the icon to switch to the Toolpaths tab, coming up to double check our material settings. So if I have a look here, these are all safe and appropriate. If you're planning to cut this yourself, you need to make sure that they're correct for your setup, and also the values you enter for the toolpath will be safe and appropriate too for your material, your tooling and your machine. Here with the vectors selected though, I'm just going to click on the icon to V-carve these. Start depth is going to be 0 or the surface of the material. I'm going to select a 90-degree V-bit from the tool database, take all the other options as default, change the name here to something appropriate, and hit calculate. Now we've automatically gone into the 3D view. I can see a drawing of the toolpath and the preview toolpaths form has opened here. I can pick the appropriate material and a color, then we can click on the icon to preview the selected toolpath, and there we can see the result of that toolpath. So with the V-carving toolpath, what's going to happen is the tool height is going to vary depending on the width of the vector and give us this very attractive carved look. The software figures that all out for us. It figures those depths out for us based on the selection of vectors we give it. As long as the preview looks correct, I'm now ready to close this, click on the icon to save the toolpath. I'll choose the appropriate post-processor that is going to convert my toolpath into a format that my machine tool will understand. So you'd pick your machine from the list here, or you'd pick the control software you use, click on the Save Toolpaths button, give that file a name and hit save, and now you'd have a file that you're ready to send over to your CNC, and once you've set up your material and your tooling as we have here in the software, you could go ahead and machine this sign. So very, very fast to go from importing the vectors, positioning them in the job, calculating the toolpath, and then outputting them to a part that I can actually cut. I'm not going to save the toolpath here. We'll just go ahead and cancel that operation. What I would like to show you is the fact that it's also very quick and easy to make edits to the vectors too, so I can create different iterations. If we close the Save Toolpaths form there, click on the icon to switch back to the Drawing tab, and click on the tab at the top here to go back into the 2D view. Now I'm going to click in the background to deselect the vectors. I'm going to click on this one and hit delete in order to get rid of it, and then I'm going to select the outer vector here and click on the icon here to draw rectangle. This will also let me edit a selected rectangle too. With the anchor point set in the center, I'm going to tell the software that I'd like to make this 11 by 4 inches, hit apply, so you can see we've resized it there, and that I'd like to create internal radii on this of 1/2 inch, so a value of 1/2 inch for the radius, and hit apply there to add a bit more decoration to our border. I'm going to hit close now, and then to create the offset vector inside from that, I'm going to click on the icon here to offset, make sure this vector is still selected. I'm going to offset inwards by a distance of 0.2, create sharp corners, and hit the offset button. So there we have the other vector for our border. Now I'd like to reposition and resize the bull's head vector a little bit, so I'm going to click in the bottom right here inside of the borders and drag up to make sure that I touch all the vectors within that selection. I'm going to click on this, and I could either move this by a specific amount, so maybe we'll say move selected objects, relative by minus 0.2 inches and hit apply to move that over, or I can click on this again to go into transform mode, and now I could just drag in order to change the size or position of this object here. I could also rotate and move it as well. Again, once we're content with any edits we've made, very easy to recalculate my toolpaths. I just simply click on the icon to go back to the toolpaths tab, make sure the toolpath is selected and click on the edit toolpath icon there. Need to make sure that any new vectors I've created are added to my selection, so I'm going to hold shift and click on this and hit calculate. Now we can see the preview from the last iteration of this, so I'm going to reset that. I'm going to preview the selected toolpath, and there we can see the new version of our design with the resized, moved vectors and the edited border. Again, if I like the way that looks and I'm ready to cut it, we can hit close and hit the Save Toolpaths button there in order to output the toolpath for our CNC. So very quick and easy for me to import the data, size and position it and machine it, but also very quick and easy for me to make edits to the design so that I can get it looking just the way I want. Now, in addition to the preview that I can see here being beneficial because it lets me see what I'm going to cut before I cut it, so avoiding any problems because I can fix them before that, it also gives me this nice shaded view that I could save in order to send out to my customer. If we go into the preview, click on the Save Preview Image, I could save a copy of the image that we can see in the 3D view there, email that to my customer and say this is the part I'm going to cut for you, and they can approve that, so I know that they're approving exactly what I'm going to machine. So that concludes this very quick run through here. As I mentioned at the start, there's a longer version of this tutorial if you want to go into detail on this process and follow along. And there is also a saved version of the file here in the project folder at the state you can see it now. And that concludes this video. Thanks for watching.